Lance watched with hazy amusement as a variety of expression passed over Keith's face. For as though as that guy could be while sober, all those walls came crumbling down the second there wasn't. They only had 2 beers and he was already infinitely easier to read. Every time he looked at Keith, he felt like he learned something new about him. His nose scrunched up when he was frustrated. The tip of his tongue pressed against his upper lip when he was concentrating. Even got to learn what his beer face looked like when he took a sip of Lance's cider, rubbing his tongue against the roof of his mouth and squinting one eye said it was too sweet. It was endearing. Far, far too endearing. Keith's eyes widened, flashing with victory as he straightened, reaching out and moving a piece across the board. When he looked back at Lance, his smirk was confident. Eyes half lidded as he leaned forward, elbows resting on the table. Too bad he hadn't moved his piece right where Lance wanted it. Without breaking eye contact and without his own smirk faltering, Lance casually reached out and moved a piece, taking Keith's. Check! Lance instantly deflated, eyes flickering over the board. His dismay was palpable. What the he muttered, lifting a hand and running his fingers through his hair, gripping the strands as he leaned into the hand and stared at the board. He'd been doing that a lot throughout the night, making his hair messier and messier. Lance wanted to mess up that hair, run his fingers through it, maybe give it a tug. You can't just barrel in, dude, he said grinning. This game's about strategy. I'm too drunk for this. Keith sank lower, cheek smushing up against his forearm as he glared at the board like it had personally offended him, only for Lance to instantly move his. Check! Keith groaned, sitting up straight and leaning back while he gestured violently to the board with both hands. How did you do that? Lance crossed his arms, resting them on the table and leaned forward. His foot was instantly running up and down Keith's calf, like it had been for the past 30 minutes or so. Keith didn't seem to mind, but he was often too distracted with the game to reciprocate. He shrugged offhandedly. I've always liked chess. My abuela taught us when we were kids, so I used to play with my family a lot. Can't beat Leo no more. Kid's a little nerd genius. But I can kick some ass in gin and rummy. He was grinning. It wasn't able to stop, not while he was around Keith. His eyes flickered to Lance's face, then away, only to return a moment later. Pidge and Hunk also like to play giant chess in the park here, so I can pick up some stuff from watching them. Keith made one more hesitant move, sealing his fate. With a smirk, Lance lined up with his killing blow. Check. Mate. Keith groaned loudly, crossing his arms on the table and slouching to rest his chin on them. He glared at the pieces like he might somehow make them crumble. I hate this game. Lance chuckled. You just need practice, he said, voice a little softer than intended. He was already reaching out before he really realized what he was doing, and by that point it was too late to pull back, so he went with it, brushing the hair out of Keith's face, reveling in its softness. He stared at him, wide-eyed, lips parted, but didn't move. So Lance let his fingers trail across his forehead, down his temple, knuckles brushing across his cheek. Your face is red, he mumbled. He looked away then, mumbling something that sounded suspiciously like sunburn. But given his expression, Lance figured there was a good chance a blush was making it worse than it actually was. He pulled his hand back, despite being reluctant to do so. The moment was broken as Pidge stumbled to her feet, nearly tripping as he tried to step over the bench. She caught herself with a hand on Keith's back, then paused, eyes narrowing Keith's empty glass. You, she said, driving her index finger to his shoulder blade, need another beer. What do you want? Keith glared at his glass, as if surprised that it was empty. The amber. Lance tapped the table. A cider for me, Pidge nodded. I ain't buying you He pouted, sticking out his bottom as far as it would go. Pidge, why are you so mean? Come get your own beer, and one's for Honk, while you're at it. Lance shrugged, pushing himself to his feet. Hey, Honk, what do you want? Honk glanced up, pausing whenever in-depth conversation he had gotten into with Grant. Lance hadn't been paying much attention to them since they arrived. His focus had been entirely on Keith, a fact that he was a little embarrassed about, but not at all ashamed of. The stout? You got it, buddy. After they got back into town, They had gone to get dinner and then moved to a local brewery for drinks. True to his word, he bought Keith his first drink. By the time their first round was done, they had devolved into smaller groups. He and Keith had started a game of chess. Hunk and Corinne had slipped into conversation in which had been telling Aurora embarrassing stories of Shiro, much to his mortification. The rest of the night passed in a similar vein. Conversation ebbed and flowed. Their small groups morphed and separated and came together again. Meanwhile, one thing stayed constant. Lance's attention was nearly always on Keith, even when he wasn't looking at him, or talking to someone else. Their legs were slouching under the table. He claimed he could read palms just to have an excuse to peel back his gloves and hold Keith's hand, letting his fingers run along the lines and imperfections of it, marveling the shape of his fingers and the roughness of his calluses, and if he conveniently forgot to let go afterward. Keith didn't say anything, and if Keith started rubbing his thumb over Lance's knuckles, well, Lance didn't say anything either. Shiro, Allura, and Cran left first, barely past their third beer. They made jokes about the old people going to bed, but it was all good fun. The four of them managed to find a deck of cards and busied themselves with that. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he marveled in how well they all fit together, how easily their group clicked. Pidge and Hunk stood up to leave next, Pidge steadying herself against Hunk's sturdy frame. Hunk, bless him, barely looked phased. The only indication that he had any alcohol in his system was the slightly hazy look on his face, and the flush on his cheeks. "We're gonna head out," he said. His words didn't sound quite so slurred as they did lazy, drawing together. "You coming, Lance?" "Keith?" Pidge asked, taking a moment to drape herself over her shoulders. "You want us to walk you back to the hotel?" Keith glanced at him, and they shared a look. So small, so quick, yet so significant. "I think I'm gonna stay a bit longer," he said, lifting a glass of fraction. "I still got more beer." Pidge rolled her eyes. "Why are you such a slow drinker?" he smirked. "Why are you so fast? You have the tolerance of a grapefruit." He snorted, swatting at his head. "Lance?" Hunk repeated, eyeing him steadily. Lance tried his best to look nonchalant, resting an elbow on the table and laying his cheek against his open palm. He used his other hand to wave at Keith. "Might as well stay and keep Mullet Boy here company." "I don't have a mullet," he grumbled, lips so pouty and tempting. Lance smiled easily, lightly tapping Keith's leg with his toe. I beg to offer." "Whatever. Let's go, Hunk." Pidge slurred, pushing up with Keith's head toward the door. She put forth a remarkable effort not to sway or stumble. She didn't quite pull it off. Hunk gave them both a smile and away before hurrying after her, steadying her with a careful hand to her shoulder. Lance watched them go, staring at the doors long after they were gone. He hummed thoughtfully to himself, idly tapping the tabletop with his fingers. He didn't look at Keith, afraid that if he did, he would somehow lose his nerve. So, it's getting pretty late." "Yeah." "Worried about disturbing Shiro and Allura when you get back?" We paused. "I have my own hotel room." The words were spoken with a large mix of confidence and hesitance, uncertainty and offhanded ease. There were implications there, implications that Lance liked, implications that made his heart jump into overtime, stomach twisting painfully in both anticipation and nerves. He really hoped he wasn't reading too much into this. "Oh, nice." He tried for nonchalance, and missed his mark by a long shot. He did, however, manage to hide his cringe at the higher pitch to his voice. Instead, he cleared his throat, finger tapping, getting more insistent. Cool. Oh God, he sounded like an idiot. Whatever happened to smooth Lance? To confident Lance? All of his cockiness shriveled in the face of direct action, of a promise to make his something more, of a question of taking that giant step further, of doing this. He usually didn't have this problem, but here it was, having it with Keith. He didn't want to think too hard on that one. Luckily, the alcohol buzzing through his system didn't let that train of thought continue too far. Let that be something to box away and dig up another day. Right here, right now, he had to focus on salvaging the situation, on not sounding like a complete "wanna see it" Lance froze. I snapped the key. His gaze was steady, irises dark and molten in the bar's dim lightning. His eyes were fixed and hardened at the edges, lips set in stern determination. There was something in the way he met Lance's eyes, something that made him feel raw and exposed, something that sent a thrill through his chest and a rush of blood down his body, something that made his heart pound and his breath catch, something that threw him completely off kilter, something he had never seen so strongly and intensely and solely focused on him, something hungry. He swallowed past the lump in his throat, licking his lips and feeling a shiver when Keith's eyes flickered down to watch the moment. His fingers on the table had stilled, and in a moment snapped, tension melting. He slouched forward, fingers dragging in circles on the worn wood calf, running up Keith's beneath the table. "You know," he said, voice low and full of intent, with an edge of cockiness that he couldn't get rid of. He watched as Keith flushed, far too red to be merely sunburned, and the visible shiver racked through him. Still those dark violet eyes held his. Lance found himself unable to look away. "I think I do,"